Imagine a world where empires crumbled, borders were redrawn, and the course of history was forever altered. This wasn't just a war, it was the war, the Great War, World War I, a conflict so vast, so devastating that its echoes still reverberate in our lives today. But what really happened? Why did millions march to their deaths? And how did this war shape the world we live in now? Buckle up, because over the next 25 minutes, we're diving deep into the trenches of history to uncover the untold stories, the shocking twists, and the lessons we must never forget. Let's begin. Oh, and don't even think about clicking away, because by the end of this, you'll be the most interesting person at your next dinner party. Trust me. The powder keg of Europe. Picture this. Europe in 1914, a continent brimming with tension, alliances, and egos bigger than a royal family's dinner table. It was a powder keg waiting to explode, and all it took was one spark. Enter Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. His assassination in Sarajevo wasn't just a tragedy, it was the match that lit the fuse. But here's the kicker. Was it really just one man's death that caused this global catastrophe, or were there deeper forces at play? Fun fact, the assassin, Gavrilo Princip, literally stumbled upon the Archduke's car because the driver took a wrong turn. Talk about bad luck, or was it fate? Within weeks, the world was at war. But why? What made this conflict inevitable? Let's dig deeper. The domino effect of alliances. Here's where it gets juicy. Europe was a tangled web of alliances. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire on one side. France, Russia, and Britain on the other. It was like a high-stakes game of who's got your back. But here's the twist. These alliances weren't just about friendship. They were about power, fear, and survival. When Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, the dominoes began to fall. Germany backed Austria, Russia backed Serbia, France backed Russia, and before you could say trench warfare, the world was at war. Ever had that one friend who drags you into drama you never asked for? Yeah, that's basically what happened here. But what happened next? How did this war of alliances become a war of attrition? Let's find out. The horrors of trench warfare. Imagine living in a muddy, rat-infested ditch for months on end, freezing in winter, sweltering in summer, and constantly under threat of death. This was trench warfare. Soldiers faced not just enemy fire, but disease, starvation, and the psychological toll of endless waiting. And then there were the gas attacks. Chlorine, mustard gas, chemical warfare that left men blinded, scarred, or worse. It's hard to fathom the courage it took to climb out of those trenches and charge into no man's land. But why did this war drag on for so long? What kept these men fighting? The answer lies in the technology and tactics of the time. Let's explore. Technology and tactics. World War I wasn't just a war of men, it was a war of machines. Tanks rumbled across battlefields for the first time. Airplanes soared above, dropping bombs and engaging in dogfights. Machine guns mowed down entire battalions in seconds. But here's the irony. While technology advanced, tactics lagged behind. Generals were still fighting the last war, sending men to their deaths in waves against entrenched enemies. Imagine bringing a sword to a gunfight. Yeah, that's basically what happened here. But this war wasn't just fought on the battlefield, it was fought in factories, in homes, and in the hearts of every citizen. Let's take a closer look. The home front. While men fought on the front lines, women stepped up like never before. They worked in factories, built weapons, and kept the home fires burning. Propaganda posters urged citizens to do your part, while rationing became a way of life. This was total war, a conflict that consumed every aspect of society. But what was the cost? How did this war change the lives of those who never fired a shot? And what lessons can we learn from their sacrifices? Speaking of change, let's talk about how this war sparked revolutions that would reshape the world. Revolutions and collapsing empires. World War I didn't just destroy armies, it destroyed empires. The Russian Revolution of 1917 saw the rise of communism and the fall of the Romanovs. The Austro-Hungarian, German, and Ottoman empires crumbled, leaving a power vacuum that would shape the 20th century. But here's the question. Was this the beginning of a new world order, or the seeds of future conflicts? Fun fact, the Ottoman Empire was so vast, it spanned 3 continents. But by 1918, it was history, literally. Which brings us to the end of the war, and the treaty that would spark even greater turmoil. Let's dive in. The Treaty of Versailles and its consequences. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed, officially ending World War I. But was it a peace treaty or a time bomb? Germany was forced to accept full responsibility for the war, pay reparations, and give up territory. The humiliation and economic strain sowed the seeds of resentment that would later fuel World War II. Could this tragedy have been avoided? What if the victors had chosen reconciliation over revenge? These are questions we still grapple with today. But the legacy of World War I goes far beyond treaties and borders. It's a story of resilience, sacrifice, and the enduring human spirit. Let's explore that legacy. The legacy of World War I. World War I wasn't just a historical event, it was a turning point. It gave us new technologies, new borders, and new ways of thinking about war and peace. It inspired art, literature, and movements for change. But it also left scars. Scars that remind us of the cost of conflict and the importance of striving for peace. Every time we see a poppy, visit a memorial, or hear the words, "Lest we forget," we honor those who gave everything for a better world. But what can we do to ensure their sacrifices weren't in vain? Which brings us to the final chapter of our journey. What lessons can we take from World War I, and how can we apply them to our lives today? World War I was a tragedy, but it was also a lesson about the dangers of pride, the power of unity, and the resilience of the human spirit. It reminds us that history isn't just about the past, it's about the future. It's about the choices we make and the world we want to build. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you be a force for peace, for understanding, for change? The choice is yours. If you found this video enlightening, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, discuss it, and let's keep the conversation going. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a deep dive into history. Thanks for watching, and remember, the past is prologue, the future is ours to write.